So last week we cast some dog food in resin, and so we're going to be turning some blanks made with dog food and Alumilite. Okay, so this was made with Alumilite clear slow set resin, and Brad, thank you Brad for sending in some stabilized dog food. So I kind of picked one that had some of the black swirls. We had one that had, let me go grab the blanks. One of them had no black streaks in it, so it's pretty much just green. There's a little, I think this piece right here, I don't know if you guys can see that, but for some reason it's cracked. It's kind of weird. I think that would probably chip out. But this one has quite a bit of black, and then this one's kind of half and half. So I decided to just do the kind of half and half one. And again, cigar style pen kit. All right, so we got our little Comet lathe. I'm just going to be turning with a normal gouge today. I like these Thompson lathe tools ones, by the way. I think all of you guys that are here probably already seen this. It probably gets kind of repetitive, but I do like these tools. It's really good steel, and I like this little interchangeable kind of handle thing. So I'm going to be spinning it up to 4,000 RPMs. And there's some sort of vibration. It's okay. Might be the blank. A little bit off balance. No biggie. Here we go. So it's turning pretty good. Somebody commented that it's probably going to smell terrible. It smells like, it doesn't smell terrible. It smells like cereal maybe or something. Let's see what this looks like. I guess it kind of smells like dog food, but this dog food smells pretty good. So Brad buys some really good dog food. So it's looking pretty good. I mean, it's turning good. Everything's holding up good. I'm not really taking any deep cuts or anything like that right now, but going pretty good so far. Smells like something. Think of what it is. It's a little bit hard, a little bit harder than the Alumilite. Usually stabilized stuff can be a little bit more abrasive if you add the cactus juice to it. The acorn tops were too. Alright, let's stop it to see what this looks like. It's pretty cool looking. Probably gonna have to kind of fill, it's like got little kind of holes, you know, just air pocket type things. So I'll probably have to kind of fill that with CA glue, but it's looking fine. I mean, it looks kind of interesting. A lot of times these things that just have weird shapes and don't look that interesting when they're in like blank form, square form, they turn out looking pretty cool when you turn them. All right. Whoa. It's on fast. Here we go. Alright, I like it pretty close. Let's see what we're looking like here. Not too bad. I'm gonna have to do some filling here and there with the CA glue, but shouldn't be too bad, I don't think. But it looks pretty cool. Now, I didn't paint the tube or anything, and this is pretty see-through, transparent resin. So that was kind of my fault. I'm terrible with that, but it looks pretty good. Let's see here. Alright, so we're just gonna sand this up. Let's see how bumpy I left it. It's actually not too bad. These things are pretty hard though. They're kind of really abrasive. I was having trouble with the barrel trimmer too. Pretty abrasive little dog food chunks. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of level this a little bit with the 240 grit. I like to use this Abranet stuff. I just get it in the rolls and then cut off whatever I need. Maybe Gretchen can put a link up for anybody that's new to Abranet. It's kind of a screen mesh type sandpaper. Works really great. But I think what I'm going to do is just kind of smooth this guy out real quick with the 240, and then I'm just going to start hitting it with the CA because there's going to be quite a bit of, there's just little pockets, and I don't think just buffing this one is going to really work that well because it's kind of an uneven surface. Alright, so what I usually use is just the kind of, whatever the cheapest thin CA glue that you can find is what I use to just fill stuff. And I usually like to go for the thin rather than like medium. I don't really know how people get by putting thick globs of the medium on for finish. Doesn't seem like it works that well. The other thing is, as with any kind of a finish, putting a bunch of thin coats on always works better anyway. But if you're trying to fill little gaps and things, it's usually much better too. I'm just kind of wiping this thing off a little bit. It usually works a lot better with thin material than thick. So, douse it, wipe it in, let it kind of think about what it's done. Also use this accelerant stuff. I'm kind of weird. The first one that I put on, I don't use any accelerant. I want it to soak in as much as possible. This stuff does dry pretty quick, but I don't know. I have weird things that I do sometimes. This looks pretty cool, actually. After you add a little bit of that finish, the dog food actually looks kind of interesting. It looks like I don't know, like rocks, kind of. I guess. Pretty cool. So, where did that? Yeah, I got. You know what? This one's a pretty deep one. Now, after saying that I use thin, what I actually use to fill holes like that is gel. So I'm going to put, a glob of gel on, and what I use is a little poker tool to kind of smooth it out, push it down into the hole, and that gives me a better base than adding 50,000 thin coats. If I can get this stuff to come out. I've been staying away from CA finishes for lately. They take so long sometimes. I'm just going to kind of just flood it on there. And then I'm going to kind of poke around on this thing and just try and push it down in there. And this may take a couple coats to get it actually filled up all the way, but for really big holes like this, it just works a lot better. So now what I'm doing is I'm just going to try and flatten everything down. I put that layer of thin CA glue on this thing. Now I'm actually going to take it all off. And that's how I build up and fill things, is I put it on and then sand off the high spots. Then put more on, sand off the high spots. It takes a little while, but honestly it probably doesn't take necessarily that much longer than just doing an acrylic blank. But I think it's, I don't know, it's the way I get the best results. see what's going on. So we got a little bit of a low spot there. I think what I'm going to do is just start building up layers of thin. I usually put on, like I said, usually end up putting like 10 coats probably on, and I do sand quite a bit off of those. You don't really need a lot in the end necessarily. And when I'm actually applying it, what I'm going to do is put it on the thing and then wipe it. So I put it on the piece of paper and then wipe it on. What that allows you to do is kind of level it. It's just the easiest way I've found to do it. So, and then I just hit it with some accelerator. And again, I'm just wasting the kind of cheaper stuff to build up some of the finish. Then I'm going to sand it back a little bit and then finish up with the Bob Smith. I think this stuff works when you use it with the little pump accelerator stuff. It seems to have a very clear top coat, like a very clear coat. That's one of the reasons I like it, and it's a little bit thicker, but it's still pretty thin. So, and I usually wipe off any residual stuff and then do another coat. Once I actually start really doing this stuff, I slow it down, the speeds, to about 700. I was going probably about 1300 right there. I find that you don't sand through the CA finish. That was one problem I've had for a long time, is I would sand off more than I put on. But if you slow it down, you actually don't have that problem. It just kind of sands off the high stuff and seems to work a little bit better. Alright, and then these are stuck on here. So what I do is I actually just tap them, and they usually pop right out. Now, one of the other things was these were hard to get in the tubes in the first place, so they may not actually be fused by CA glue. Wow. There we go. And the problem is you're going to have some little crusty things on the edge there. Some CA bits hanging over, and so what I do is I grab a piece of 1000 grit and I go, you're pushing in, I don't want to break it off this way because that'll chip your finish. So just kind of knock it down, and then what I do is I have a little pen mandrel that I sand that smooth with. So I got to get the other bushing out of here. There we go. So my little way to kind of flatten up and make sure that those ends are done, are cleaned up totally and flush, is this. It's basically, this is actually from the Shopsmith that I used to turn on. It's the pen mandrel from it, and I just use like a hole punch with this Abernet and stick it over there and just try and hold it down, you know, along this tube, and it should be pretty much perpendicular to the barrel at that point. I'd say it works just as good as anything else. Just make sure that I get everything off of there. And then what I actually do is I go back after I do this, because that's going to kind of leave a sharp edge. So I actually go back again when I have a CA finish, and I'm going to round it over again with the paper, because the problem is if there's anything that's just kind of hanging off proud, when you push the components of the pen, you know, up to there, you could crack the finish again. So I always just try and break that edge. And then what I do is I have a little jar of acetone. So there's obviously some CA glue stuck on those bushings, and I just dunk them, let them sit there for a little while. It usually only takes about 10 to 15 minutes. And get all that acetone dissolved, and then pull them out and wipe them off. Pretty thin, you can kind of see that gold, but it's not like highly noticeable. Sometimes it just looks like tube under there, and there's scratches, and it's horrible. This is just, there's some kind of brass gold yellow color under there, but not a big deal. I always like to go kind of one way with one grit and then start with this white diamond. I need to charge it a little bit. Just give it a little coat. We can go the other way just in case there's some scratches from Tripoli. And the white diamond will take those out. But then I also finish up with the white diamond going lengthwise along the, like this. For some reason it just works better. Maybe it has to do with the curves that I put on the pens. It seems to be shinier this when I finish up this way. I don't know. Wow, this is actually looking pretty cool. Alright, I'm going to call it quits. Let's assemble this puppy. I think this thing turned out pretty cool. I like this green with the brown. Let's see if that will focus a little bit. Let's see if I can get even closer. It's pretty cool looking. Oh, I never turned it into the... I never went to the double camera thing. Pretty nice looking.